So Ellen, Andy, then Damo, and then...
Hey Ellen, you okay?
I'm all good, how are you?
Yeah, good.
So Chris, a result that's hard to take from Boxing Day. It's been a tricky festive period, though, as we've spoken about a number of times. 4 points from your 5 games in charge. What do you make of those returns?
Well, I do believe we should have got more out of the games. Little individual moments have cost us. We were quite unfortunate for 2 own goals on Boxing Day. I thought the reaction, especially second half, was excellent. I think you looked at the stats point of view in terms of the attempts on goal. It was enough. We just got done on a couple of things organisation wise, which it's a learning progress from different ways of defending as well. Speaking to the players, how they've defended in the past to what we're trying to do with them as well. So there's different ways of defending. So that's obviously the issue is of time as well on the training ground, and I heard Eddie Howe saying it as well. He can't wait to get back onto the training ground and fix some issues, and we're the same. But unfortunately, the fixture list doesn't allow you to do that, and we have to learn through analysis and hopefully not making the same mistake again.
Yeah, sort of leading on from that slightly, you called on the players to take accountability. What has their response been like in training in the days since?
Yeah, they're okay. They're one of the things that I've said all along, Alan, is that they're a really good group to work with. And they want to learn. They want to take on board what we're trying to do. Every coach and every manager has their own ideas, and there's not a right way to do it. But this is our way, and this is how we want to go with it. So. They were disappointing in terms of the manner of the goals, really, because they've not really had to work hard. I said afterwards, and I knew it was coming, in terms of what Rob would say afterwards about the character of Luton Town, which I've said and I've praised and I've commented on because I know that club quite well and what their DNA is and what their culture is. And of course they would go right to the end, but really they were gifted goals. They didn't really have to work hard for them, and they were self-inflicted. And that's a disappointing thing because the reaction second half was great. We really had it going, and really we've chucked away the points, but we can't dwell. We're quickly on to the next game, and obviously it's always a special place and a special game when you're playing against the world champions.
Absolutely, yeah. Manchester City up next. Your side still waiting on the first away win of the season.
It's one of the easier places to go and get a result, of course. Sorry, Ellen, go on.
No, I was just going to say, is this the fixture that will prove the biggest challenge this season?
Listen, they're all big challenges. You look through the fixture list since we've walked through the door. There's been some incredible challenges ahead of us, and all different types. The Luton game was a different game to the Villa game away, and you have to embrace it. You have to enjoy it, and we are. I'm enjoying it. The coaching staff are enjoying it. The players have got to enjoy it. There's a reason why we're in this division. There's a reason why we gain promotion. We have to enjoy every challenge. I've always loved going there. We've had some. The results have not always been the best, but they've always been pretty competitive games, and that's what we've got to make it.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Chris, any injuries post Luton ahead of City this weekend?
Now, a couple of suspensions. Of course, there's a couple of players that have got knocks, bumps and bruises that we'll look at, and we've got to utilise the squad as well. I've said before, there's some, bumped into John Egan today, and he's a big player, and talking to Tom Davies, he's back on the grass as well, which is great news. And these are experienced players, captain of his country is John Egan, and obviously Tom Davies has played a lot of Premier League, played all his football in the Premier League, so there's some big players missing as well. So, but we'll go with what we've got, and we'll be as competitive as we possibly can be.
Just on that little curveball there, the fact that they are back on grass, does that give you an idea as to when they might be able to play for you? Yeah,
of course. It's there's still a lot of work to be done, but the great thing is that they're back moving about and doing conditioning work, doing ball work, which is great to see. I'm delighted to see Tom doing that because it's been a difficult few months. He came here to play, and he's going to be a really good player for the football club. He's a good signing. And him missing is a blow. So of course they're all at different stages. There's some ahead. Obviously, Rhian's back with us. Rhys Norrington Davies is back with us. Tom's in that unavailable stage at the moment, but getting there. So yeah, we're working away, and they're working extremely hard because we need as many of them back as possible.
And where are Norrington, Davis and Brewster in terms of sort of regular football?
I don't think they're in a position to start games at the moment, Andy, but there's potential to play in 21 games. There's potential to play in bounce games, behind closed doors games, which we're going to try and fix up in the new year. So they'll get their minutes in that, and hopefully they can progress from there.
You spoke the other day about in the sort of the more negative aspects of the defeat to Luton about bravery. Given the short amount of time you've had, how do you coach that into the players?
Yeah, through messages, through actions and communication. It's the only way you can do it. So they're learning about me as well. So they a few of them obviously know a little bit more about me than the others, and I'm learning about them as well, what they're like as human beings, what they're like as personalities, what they're like when they get left out of the team. So this is we're still only 3 weeks into it, but we have to learn pretty quickly, and we don't like losing whatever it is, and it was disappointing that we lost the game of football. For players to get to this level, for coaches and managers to get this level, they want to win. They've had to have a winning mentality right the way through their careers. And the manner of the game was obviously a disappointing one as well. But this is Premier League. This is highest level of professional football in the world, and we have to embrace that next challenge and keep saying about enjoying it as well. You're in the wrong profession if you don't enjoy going to the Etihad against the best players and the best team in the world. It's a great challenge for us.
How's Wes Foderingham from a psychological perspective? He's been in the spotlight after the Villa game and then the other day. How is he coping with the criticism that has come his way?
Yeah, he'll feel it. He'll understand that, and he has to get over that as everybody has. Everybody's been through that period as a player. I've had to suffer. Everybody has to suffer. So we can't shy away from it. And he'll be the first to admit there's certain situations that maybe we could have handled a little bit better. And this is the life and times of a goalkeeper.
Have you thought about making a change, or are you otherwise happy with him?
Well, listen, there can't be knee-jerk reactions, but players have got to play well to get into the team, and then players have got to play well to stay in the team. And if we've got people knocking on the door, then of course you have to look at all the options. I've got to put my best team out on the pitch. This is not a challenge. This is not a I tell you what, we'll leave all the best players on the bench moment. I've never known that. There might be times, in cup competitions where you rest players and they've got injuries and knocks, and you want to see other players play in different environments and different setups and situations. But not when you're going to Man City. I'm not leaving my best players out, and I'm a little bit nuts at times, but I'm not that insane. So of course, players have got to play well to get into the team and play well to stay in the team. So everything is up for grabs, and I would expect the players that aren't playing would be knocking on the door and showing me in training and showing every opportunity is an opportunity to impress. So when the likes of Asulu gets onto the pitch on Saturday, which he did, and Brewster gets onto the pitch on Saturday, and Anis gets onto the pitch, there's always that opportunity to impress, and it's up to them to take that.
So City then next, and all that is, you can rattle off the titles, etc. How do you go about taking on a challenge like them?
Well, you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a structure, and you've in and out of possession as well. You're going to keep using the word suffer. Everybody does. You can't go gung ho. You can't go toe to toe with them because of the quality that they've got. The length of time that the manager's had in terms of putting his ideas over to the players as well, and everything that comes with Pep being the best manager in the world, for the best manager and one of the all-time greats as well. So you're up against that from a tactical point of view. The way they dominate the ball, the way they move the ball around. You have to be at your best. You have to bring your A game to the table, of course. But in possession as well, you have to have an idea as well how to see if you can, get out of your final third for a period of time. But we understand that how the game's going to go. We've all watched them. You've watched them. All our supporters have watched them. They're not going to be surprised in terms of the way the game goes. So we all have to understand that and accept that.
I seem to remember, actually, from the 2 trips to City the last time around, there was a lot of praise from Pep Guardiola about how United handled those occasions, because they were close games, weren't they? And barring the odd decision, I think particularly in the first season between the two, it was kind of an either-or scenario.
Yeah, it was. So you want that to be the makeup of the game. I remember both home games. One in lockdown, 2 in lockdown, and obviously two under the lights, and there were brilliant occasions. Both games, the game at Bramall Lane, where it went deep, and the game at the Etihad, which I think.
Sharp,
it was something off the referee, and he stuck Kevin De Bruyne clean through. So nothing to do with him being from Manchester as well. So obviously that question was asked by the manager at the time. But yeah, I think that there is, and the manager at Man City has said some really good things about us in the past. So we feel that in that period we were doing things right, and that's the levels that we've got to get to. We've got to get back to those sort of levels where we're really competitive wherever we go, home and away, against the world champions, and getting that balance right. And I think it's really important, because if I remember rightly about that night, it wasn't a sit on the crossbar sort of evening. It was we had a threat going forward as well. So we have to get to those standards and those levels, and that's what we're trying to do in terms of the work we're doing with this present group of players.
If I can just close by kind of bringing it all together, you mentioned at the start about the players that aren't playing, who have all sorts of different experience. Davis, obviously, Egan's been around for a long time. Does that play its part in your thinking with regard to transfer window stuff? So the players that you'd like to bring in would be more experienced, and possibly at Premier League level if you can. Yeah,
I think that's the conversation that we've had with the owner. Another conversation I'm having this afternoon. These players have got to go into the first team, and there's going to be players that are surplus to requirements that might feel a little bit hard done by, may not have had the opportunities that others have had. But I think you're in a period where you have to make quick decisions and gut reactions and gut feelings in terms of what you want it to look like, what you want the team to look like in those individual position specific places. So I think that the some of the players that we're looking to bring in, you understand, and I understand it's going to be limited. You can't take a wrecking ball to it, but obviously there's a lot of work that still needs to be done now, and obviously going into the summer as well. So, but yeah, we will be looking. I think it's been different from other windows that I've been in at this football club. When we've been successful, we've had to make sure that we cover and give good competition in places where we needed to be. I think now is the time, and I think Prince Abdullah understands that, and obviously he's talking about that if we do make those decisions, which obviously is still to be made, that we bring players in that are going to be in a starting 11.
So, thank you very much.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Demo.
Luton was such a big game against one of your nearest rivals. Have you had a job of work to sort of lift the players' morale after such a harsh defeat? Yeah,
I want them to hurt. I want them to feel. I want them to be emotional about it. I would be disappointed if they didn't and they didn't care. So I get that. We all are. It's been a difficult couple of days. We've felt the pain of a defeat that I didn't think was deserved. And the pain of if you look over the period, so quite close to 5 points extra onto our total, which would have changed the outlook and the mood of everything. But it isn't to be, and there's a reason for that, and we have to look inward at that reason and take it on the chin and move forward. But I'll be disappointed if they didn't feel the hurt, because they have to feel the hurt of not getting the result that we were all after. but quickly moving on. Not for you, Damo. Quickly moving on. Quickly moving on.
Hi, Chris, you okay?
Hey, Dan.
For all that is said about City's threats and Haaland and Grealish and Foden and Rodri or whatever, they also do the unsexy side of the game well, don't they? They do the physical side well. They win every tackle, they win every race, they win every header. Do you have to at least match that?
Try to, yeah. Yeah, it was a conversation that I had with the group in my at my last club when they played Bayern Munich. I talked at length. Did you watch the Man City Bayern Munich game? There was not many that watched it, which I thought told the story. And then I talked about, did you see them playing in their positions? That Jack Grealish played wide left. Sometimes the game breaks up and it takes him inside. And Bernardo Silva played wide right. And did you see the centre forward when he went clean through and he scored 1,000 goals in about 3 years? And everybody in the world thought he'd just put his foot through it, and he turned his foot on it to Bernardo Silva, who had the easier option of scoring and a team player. And then in the next moment and the next clip, he's back on the edge of his box defending. So these players, and I know through certain people at Man City, their standards that they set, you see it, you watch it, you can feel it, and you hear it through people I know. There's an obvious connection that talks at great length and great feeling and sort of enthusiasm in terms of how they roll as a group as well. And I think that shines through. And I've always said that, don't take away the technical brilliance, tactical, how they change their game. They do the basics better than anybody else, and the reason that they are in the position that they are, and the manager is in the position that he is, and quite rightly so.
Are you planning to speak to Kyle again, try and smuggle it back on that coach? To bring him
try and get him back. No, he was. I've got to say, we talk as my pals. When we talk in football, I've got to say, I don't think I'm being controversial. I think by far the best player ever to come out of this city now in what he's achieved. And there's been some good players that have represented United on Wednesday and represented other clubs as well, that were born and raised in the city. But Kyle Walker, for me, is the best player, best footballer since time that's come out of Sheffield, and obviously we can take a small part in his development early on.
Definitely. I want to ask about, obviously, in recent weeks has been the game at Chelsea away, there's been the game at Villa away, and obviously this time when you will give up the ball, understandably, because you can't go toe-to-toe with the players they have. What sort of toil does that take on the players, both physically and mentally as well, when you have to stay so switched on all the time? Does that take a big kind of...
Absolutely. You switch off, you get punished. We switched off for 5 or 10 minutes at Chelsea, and all of a sudden the ball's in the back of the net. We get to a stage of the game at Villa Park. We were outstanding. We felt that, especially the last 15-20 minutes of the game. We grew into the game, and we were pretty even in that period going into the last sort of 15 minutes. And I think that was the work that obviously we'd done leading up to that moment, and we did switched off, and you switch off from a throw on Boxing Day. And any club in the division can hurt you, but especially the big boys, they put you to bed. And so, from a mentality point of view, from a concentration level, you've got to be at it right the way through. You've got to be prepared to be down in the game as well. And what's your reaction to that? So, that's not being negative or defeatist. You just understand that the challenge ahead.
Yeah, something you touched on there about how you will have to suffer, but it's a great word to use. Yeah. You have to enjoy that almost.
Yeah.
It sounds to us like the worst thing that you could possibly do. How do you sort of get the players into that mentality where they enjoy that suffering against these sort of players? How do you get
because they're walking out to 50,000 supporters and 3,000 United fans behind the goal that we're desperately wanting them to do well, and you're playing at the ice level of world football. on a domestic stage. So you have to, of course you have to get the balance right, and you have to go through the pain barrier, and of course you have to, you take yourself out of the comfort zone. But they could quite easily go and play football and really enjoy it and be the best player on the pitch, but it's possibly about 4 levels below what there is. But obviously that level is not where these boys want to be. Keep saying it, at any sport, Matt Fitzpatrick can go up to Alanshire and win the medal, win the Thursday fiddle every time, but he don't want to. He wants to go and play in the Ryder Cup and be the best in the world. So it's all different, sort of different levels, and these players should. They've got to this level. They've got to enjoy it, and they've got to be able to take on the best. And if they don't come out, they come out positively in terms of the way they played individually and as a team, and they learn through that experience to be better next time.
How's young Ollie Arblaster? Obviously, had that quite nasty injury. Have you obviously spoken to him since? How's
I went to the game. So I went to the Port Vale game. They were delighted with him in terms of his contribution. He's back with us now. He's getting treatment with us. It was a deep and nasty cut to his knee. Thankfully, when from where we were sat, me and Jack were sat, it looked a lot more serious than what it was. So we're delighted that it isn't. But he's going to be out for a few weeks, but he can do other bits and pieces, and he's in around the group as well now. So we're delighted to have him back.
Just to clarify, is there a break in his low?
Yeah, there is. He'll be coming back. Yeah, that's a decision that we've made. So Port Vale not understand that. So I think he comes back on the 2nd, but obviously he's going to be out he's going to possibly be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So we'll see him maybe end of January.
Okay, just give us an insight into why you made that decision. What have you seen? Just in your words, what have you seen?
I think he's I've watched him. He's a local boy. He loves a football club. We love that. Supporters love that. Not that it has to be all and end all. There's other boys that have not supported Sheffield United that give their everything for the football club, but. He's obviously ticked the box of playing in League One. We could put him out into the Championship, I suppose. So that was a decision that we made. We feel he's better with us. There was decisions with Illiman regarding that. There was decisions with David Brooks at the time that we could have put him out, but we wanted him in the group and learning in terms of what our demands are as a coaching staff and as a manager, and getting used to that. But still pushing to get in. He's a confident boy. He's technically very good. He sees a pass. He's got great abilities. He's dominating in when he goes and plays internationally, which is a really good attribute, and really good from his point of view and his confidence levels. And we feel that he'll be better in with us for the remaining 4 months of the season.
Yeah. Just on January, I think you mentioned to Gids as a meeting this afternoon. I was going to ask, do you have the clarity about what's happening in January? Is that something that will come hopefully later today?
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. So I'll accept every sort of situation, and we'll do our best with the decisions that are made. So absolutely no problem. We've worked hard on a few targets to come in. We're working hard on moving a few players on as well, because I think that's important as well, that we don't have a bloated squad and players that are surplus to requirements that we feel that they're not going to be involved. It's important that they go and play football and get themselves back in the shop window as well. So it's a balancing act with players coming in and going out.
Yeah, I was going to ask on that. Have you had those? You said before you're going to sort of wheel and deal in this transfer window. Have you had those conversations with those players who you might be letting out? Do they know that you're planning?
Well, they will do. I think we set a deadline of the game on Saturday. So, but the conversations will be pretty quick after that. Obviously, there's an FA Cup tie the week after, and our next game is the 21st. So it's a decent break there as well. But we'll make swift decisions. We'll make positive decisions to benefit the group.
Yeah. Just finally from me, I know every manager goes into the window to sign players who can improve the group talent-wise. But how important is it also to get players in who have been unaffected by what's happened this season. They're sort of unscarred by that experience. So
yeah, but I've got players now that they've had to deal with it. Yeah. They've had to deal with the situation. And they're showing good qualities. Trusty and Brooks. Young Brooks. He's possibly not had as much exposure, but others have had. Jack Robinson. They know they're pros. They know that it's been a difficult first part of the season, but I've got to say there's been improvement. Statistically, there's been improvement in the team. Yeah. The goalkeeper's not making as many saves as he did. Whatever you want to talk about from a statistics point of view, and I would say from my point of view, watching the team, I do think there's been a little bit of a lift. The key is now is to keep that going. As I said, delighted with second half. We've had 21 shots on Boxing Day. That should be enough. Should be enough to win a game of football. Tighten up on certain other bits and pieces, but you can't feel sorry for yourself in this game, and you can't feel sorry for yourself when you're playing in the Premier League. So the unscarred bit, that doesn't really. I want players that want to come, want to be part of it, and want to make a difference. And we believe if we do bring them in, that they will be.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers, Dan.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Just in terms of next month, ideally, how many lads would you like to bring in, and how many do you see potentially going out? And what specific positions are you looking to strengthen in?
Yeah, I'm not going to open it up. There'll be it won't be sort of a wrecking ball in terms of 6, 7, and 8. It's a difficult window as it is. There'll be possibly 2 or 3 coming out and 2 or 3 going in if we do make those decisions.
And obviously, you came back for Liverpool at home, another massive game with a sentiment occasion. Is this the sort of reason that you were tempted back to come to Sheffield United? This sort of big game.
I'd have been tempted back if they were in the 4th division. It's my football club. There's a reason to come back and help and try and make a difference and help the club. Getting sort of out of this position. So, but obviously it makes it. Of course it makes it special when you're playing at the highest level. But as soon as the club made that call to me, it was never in doubt that I wanted to come back and try and help.
Just in terms of how good this City side are, Chris, where would you rank them in terms of the all-time great British English football teams?
Well, they got 5 trophies. That's an incredible achievement. At the most 5, isn't it? I think, or 4, 5. So you don't get handed those for whatever they do, whatever competition they're in. I just think the attitude is an incredible attitude that everybody's got from the playing staff through from the manager that obviously sort of sets that incredible example. It's the old Liverpool of the 80s, the Man United, Liverpool under Paisley, and they go again. They put the medals in the drawer, and they're off and at it again. It's the Man Uniteds again. We're not talking about what happened last year. We're not resting on that. And it's the same in Man City. And when you go through your different decades and your different years in terms of who the top sides are, they've got to be ranked right up there, if not the best.
Yeah, I think your predecessor Paul Heckingbottom said when the Blades last played them that what Guardiola's done is he's actually changed English football, the way it's played, playing out from the back and that philosophy of keeping the ball. Do you think he goes that deep in terms of his impact on our game in this country?
Yeah, he's had a huge effect on it. You look at the academies now, and there's all different ways to play, and there's not a right way and not a wrong way, and there's all different things that you have to build into that, resources, and they've had the ability to go and get technically the best players in the world, but still, it's not getting the best players in the world and just chucking them out there and expecting them to go and do the business. They're coached, they're tactically coached, and then they evolve and they move and. John Stones coming inside as a centre half and playing as a 2, building in a 3, playing as a 2, playing 5 at the top of the pitch. They've evolved and all that, and they're looking for the next improvement tactically as well as the next improvement in terms of making their squad bigger and stronger.
I think Guardiola said before last night's game, as much as you win, they want you to fail more than ever. there is this sort of sense of, you know, criticism, maybe jealousy about Man City and the riches and everything that Pep's got at his disposal. Do you think they get enough credit? Do you think he gets enough credit for what he's achieved? And where do you see them going forward, having come back from Saudi Arabia now as World Club Champion, looking to retain the Premier League title?
He doesn't need anybody to rub his head. Simple as that. Cheers.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. One of the things that City have got under him, and you've touched on it there, is a real identity. Sheffield United had a real identity during your first spell here, and I'm not saying there isn't one there now, but is that something you're going to look to try and bring back?
Yeah,
as
we
well?
have to reset it a touch. I believe, not being too critical, but you know, everybody has their own ideas and their own different ways of going about it. But yeah, listen, that's for other people to talk about. You know what we did in 2016, but I think everybody has a look at Everton. They've got an identity, you know, and there's players that, you know, I'm sure you know, conversation I've had with Sean, that he looks back and goes, you know, some players that they maybe have brought into the football club have really not Everton players. So, you know, I think there's ways and means in talking about that as well. But every club has to have that, you know. And as I said, there's all different things that are put into that, from where the club is, what the supporters want, what they want to see, and everything that sort of marries up all the time to be at your best. And I think that this football club's been at its best through a long period of time, when it's doing what you've seen and what I've seen, without going too deep into it. And it can sometimes, and you know, it's difficult because it's the Premier League as well, and you sometimes you do make these little changes, and you're always trying to make little changes and little adjustments, and some work and some don't as a football club. But I think, you know, I think we all know what this football club at its best looks like, and we've got to try to get that, even if sometimes the results are not the results that we all want.
Yeah, I was going to say, because and the same goes for Everton, Man City, Arsenal, whoever. It's not to say that a player isn't a bad player, because they're obviously exceptional footballers, but they just might not be, and I've not got anyone in mind, but
no,
they just might not be quite right for a club. They might be absolutely perfect for another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's, you know, you've looked at it, and you go on to Chelsea, you go, you know, Torres, who was an unbelievable success at Liverpool, who was loved and adored, and he was incredible, and then went to Chelsea. And go on, you could give me the background story on Torres. What do you think about him?
Yeah, in and out.
He's a £50 million player.
Yeah.
So everybody thinks, well, I'm spending £50 million on a centre forward, he's going to be a hit. But some don't, for one reason or the other. You know, and you know, your club have had a few of them, haven't they?
Yeah, moving on anyway. Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Yeah, there's players that really find a home and really settle in and go, this is me, and some don't at every club. Yeah. I think the key is you got to try and get as many in to fit the feel and the culture. I think the culture. What did somebody once say? Culture eats strategy for breakfast and all stuff like that. So culture of football clubs is really important, and the feel of it and the attitude of it is really key. And of course every club has its own way. Cheers.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
See you later. Cheers.